And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, hey, dude. He didn't know my name. He's like, dude, you're a leader. Act like one. Boom. It pushed me away. And I'm like, the nerve.
That's right. Who's this guy think he is?
Who does he think he is?
He don't even know my name.
Don't even know. And it was like, sure. Did I admire this guy already? Yeah. Was I found at that moment? No, I wasn't displaying really anything that I could imagine what a leader would be. Mm-hmm. But he saw that there was hunger, and there was serving. A servant was the first component to being a leader. And I always tell people, it is so hard to take a leader and make him into a servant. It is super easy to take a servant and make him a leader.
Yeah.
I'm gonna twist this bad boy a little bit. There we go.
I make fun of some people too, like you don't have to be too formal or too laid back. It's just kind of
chill.
It's kind of like whatever.
Just good.
Yeah, as long as you're comfortable.
I am.
What kind of coffee did you get?
I got a cappuccino since I've already had regular coffee already.
You coffeeed up before the yard sale.
I did.
Coffeed up after the yard sale.
Yeah, coffeed up. Well, anytime. It
sounds like we're doing a drug. Yeah, coffeed up, man.
Dude, I coffeed up. I did 2 today. So,
shot up that coffee. Coffee uses the terminology of shots.
Yeah. Not
by mistake.
Oh, heck no. They know the audience they're after.
That's right.
It's the addicts.
Absolutely.
We're the addicts.
At least we recognize that.
I didn't know you drank tons of coffee.
Dude, what do you mean? I'm an American citizen. Every American apparently drinks coffee.
Was I not supposed to?
Yeah, dude. Well, sweet.
Okay.
We'll get started.
Yeah.
This is Generation Giants Podcast, episode 19.
19?
I know. Can you believe it? Seems like just yesterday I got started with this thing.
Seriously?
I mean, it was yesterday times like,
a long time
60 ago. Or whatever, some odd. But today, Stephen Popadich, thank you for being my guest on the show today.
Heck yeah.
And so let's dig in briefly into who you are, what you do,
Sure.
how I even know you. So maybe if we can backtrack, 4 years ago? 4 years you've been in Charleston now?
4 years.
As the pastor of, what do we call it, the young adults?
Young adults.
Young adults now of Seacoast Church,
Yeah.
one of the largest churches here in the Charleston area at the very least.
Yeah.
And met you there. I still remember the first week you came here. I think we went to the beach, played a little beach soccer.
Yes.
You had little Owen. He was just born.
2 months old.
He was like the day before he was born.
Yeah.
It's like this is my newborn.
Yeah. And everybody held him, and we're like, cool.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Yeah, young people, especially the women, they just love the little babies, man.
Yeah, they're all over.
That's how you get on everybody's good side. You just care. It's like a prop. It doesn't even have to be yours.
You're absolutely right. It doesn't even have to be yours.
Like,
you borrow a baby.
We haven't done any blood tests, but we're assuming.
Yeah, it's true. No,
yeah,
that's good. So yeah, 4 years ago, and I remember you coming in your Citadel attire.
Oh man, back when I used to dress formal everywhere.
Real formal.
Suit and tie.
Totally cut, like tie, everything, come into the well and just like
senior
and totally change. I think
totally changed.
and then yeah, like after that you came in sandals and
my diploma corrupted me.
Like coming in like these baggy like
cargo pants.
The cargo pants.
Like, dude, because there's so many pockets in cargo.
With
cargo
literally
pants,
like 12 books in each one pocket, and
little
like,
mini books, little children's books.
Yeah, right. Little small children's books.
12 children's
one
books.
Bible in one, and then the other
right.
like I don't know, worksheets and Bibles in the other.
It's my sword and sheath, man. The Bible's the sword, and the cargo pants are the sheath.
You did it well. You really sported it well. Yeah. And then you always were just eating food, lots of food.
Continue to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm Food Addict. I eat at least 3 to 5 times a day, every day.
At least.
Most people would call you an addict if you do that for anything.
Really?
Yeah, I think 3 to 5 times a day, every day.
Oh. And you have.
Are you a food addict?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, cool.
Some people call me a foodie.
A foodie.
Which I don't know. No,
that's so cute. Such a cute name. And so
yeah, dude.
And so you moved here 4 years ago. Let's go ahead and at least
Yeah.
as far as your introduction,
What would
kind of what you do at Seacoast Church.
Yeah, so 4 years ago, we kind of had this incredible ministry called The Well, and The Well was a ministry. You're sporting the shirt, bro. Yeah,
Dude, this is going to be worth. I'm going to give you a
Millions.
Sharpie. I didn't tell you this. I'm going to give you a Sharpie before you leave. You're going to sign this shirt.
Sign your shirt.
Okay.
I'm happy to do this. So
And then I
one
might
thing
sell
we're
on
really
eBay.
good at is we gave away a ton of shirts. Like we gave away
They're all just flooded in the Charleston
thousands
area.
of shirts. Oh yeah, they're going to show up at Goodwill eventually. And I'm
Or
fine
eBay.
with that. Yeah. So
Tons
we
of
did
money.
it. We started there 4 years ago. Ernest Smith handed it to us. We were down at the Pure Theater all the way on Upper King Street. We had 2 services there. It was absolutely crazy. They were packing out that place, but it was a
Yeah.
small theater. It sat about 70 to 80 people. We'd pack in probably like 90-ish people there. And when Nicole and I got there, we're just like, there is something that's going to happen here, and we just need a bigger venue.
Mm-hmm.
And so we dreamed and prayed and got everyone else to pray with us.
Yeah.
And were you there when we were on the steps at the music hall when Kevin opened that door?
Yeah.
Were you there? Yeah. So we were at the music hall praying for that space, but we didn't have the money to, really rent that
Right.
space.
And the music hall, for those listening, I mean, it's a fairly big venue that concerts would go to. It's not like a Coliseum or anything, but it's a
Yeah.
pretty big venue. And beforehand, it was a pretty small, very small, like, I even
Improv.
hesitate to call it a theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an improv space.
Yeah, improv
which
space.
we would pack out back then. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
young people, college people. It's just, I mean, the Well has always been just like a cool thing.
Yeah.
A cool place for young people to go. There's Christians, there's non-Christians, I'm sure, going there just
Oh.
because it's like a fun place to go. A lot of
Yeah.
college students go there here in
Yeah.
Charleston.
Relative word, something that, there's good worship that was, strong.
Yeah.
And so we ended up getting in the music hall at the price we wanted, which was amazing. And at that time, and still now, but it carries about 1,000 people in that hall altogether. We fluctuated, got up to 300 individuals, college students and young professionals in that hall, and man, I tell you, it was a good 3.5 years that we dealt with just the entire incredible nature of downtown and the students, and it was amazing. So Seacoast recently was like, hey, why don't we expand the vision to reach young adults all across the Lowcountry? And I was a little bit nervous on it. I was like, that's it's a huge task, and I thought,
It's a huge leap.
Oh.
It's a whole different job description almost. I mean, it's still
almost
ministry.
entirely.
You're still a pat,
Yeah.
But
And so we thought, all right, let's do a monthly service or monthly things for young adults in the Lowcountry. And so we have now what's called Current, which is our brand new ministry.
lower the curtain. The special name.
Current.
It's launched. I love the name, man. Current.
Yeah.
So that's the name of the ministry for the young adults.
Yeah.
Which includes basically 18 to
30-ish.
30-ish.
I say ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people
In
are young at
Charleston.
heart. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right here in the Lowcountry, we've got small groups all across the Lowcountry, which is awesome. And we're really finding out there's a real need for young adults activities so they can
Right.
find significance and connect to people. But we found
Right.
that's the number. Those are the two things. I mean, I can even say for myself, what do I want? Significance. I want to
Right.
know that I'm doing something special, and
Right.
I'm called to do something. But I'm also like, I want to connect with people. Like that's what I want to do more than anything. Like I'm a people person. Now, not all people want to connect to all tons of people, but you want to connect to somebody.
Yeah.
And so, man, I tell you, we thought those are the two components that we have to roll on, and we're like, all right, let's go do it. So we've got events like harbor cruises. We've got, services downtown once a month. We've got serve days coming up. We've got, the list goes on. Stuff.
Right.
So
with small groups, just
And then
basically
small groups.
every night a week, which
Yeah.
is kind of the bread and butter. And for those listening who aren't in a small group, it's basically a group that you form to hold each other accountable, to encourage each other to go through life together,
Right.
to dig into scripture together, whatever the flavor. Every
Yeah.
small group's different. There's not necessarily, in my opinion, a right or wrong.
yeah,
But every small group's going to have its own little mini culture.
Absolutely.
And I'm one of the leaders among, at least a dozen
yeah,
others.
many others. Yeah,
There's many others that I haven't even met, I'm sure. So
tons.
I say at least a dozen. It's between a dozen and 400 small group leaders.
Yes,
Somewhere in there.
and growing, and we need more leaders.
Growing, yeah.
So
We need like a flow chart.
we do. We got one.
Oh, you got, okay, good.
Yes.
It'd probably blow my mind. I couldn't even comprehend it. So, well, cool, man.
Yeah, dude.
And
So that's
and
awesome.
I'm really excited because I'm a part of this ministry.
Yeah.
I do hope that even some listeners, whether they're, new adult, like 18 age, or even, in the mid-20s like I am, I do even hope that they consider this good exposure and want to even look into it if they're in the Charleston area.
Yeah.
And of course, even, this podcast, it's not necessarily a ministry podcast, but for those listening who aren't even in the Charleston area and can't, I'm not a part of that church, you can still look into what awesome churches are in your area.
Yeah.
Or just find some kind of good community that you can get plugged into.
Yeah.
There's many other ways to do it.
Oh, yeah.
We just happen to choose church as kind of our good flavor to do it.
That's right.
So
it's fun.
Yeah. And so young people, it seems like, has always been your passion.
Yeah.
Or at least as far as I've known you, you've been I don't even know what else to call them, but young people. So I'm just going to stick to that term.
Peoples.
It's like college, them young people. It's like college age.
Backwoods.
Yeah, college age, and now expanding into, well, it's always been college and 20s, but now we're really intentionally trying to reach more people outside of college. So it's not just like you graduate from church. You never want to graduate from church. And so what are a few things as to the why? We've been talking about why lately. What are a few of your whys, especially now, and maybe it's changed over time since you first got started? Maybe it's still about the same, but why do you do what you do, man?
Absolutely. I tell you, the generation between 18 to, and the cool part is it's growing to 30-ish years old, is that they are the generation, they are the most moldable, and at the same time, it's the first life experience they've had that they're making their own choices. Sure, I get it. High school, yes, you're making your own choices. And, they say, which is crazy, most high school individuals who either A, were Christians or accepted Christ in their middle school to high school years, they say about 70 to 80% of them lose their faith in college. Mm-hmm. Now, I had a decent college experience. It was crazy. It was college. It was like this total experiment, figuring out what life was all about, all that jazz. But there is such an absolute need for this group of people. And most companies, most even churches or whatever, don't know how to reach them. But yet they're taking, I'll tell you the one company that does know how to reach them is credit card companies. Do you know that? That's what that's their demographic.
I 100% agree.
Middle
even
school,
in my
high
small group
school.
alone, I know, and we did some of us did the Dave Ramsey financial peace thing. And I've never had credit card debt personally. I'm kind of like, I don't know, a unicorn in that way, I guess. Mm-hmm. But so many people, I'm how does that happen? Which I get it after going through financial peace. You get in this situation where it's like it's an emergency.
Oh, absolutely.
And you weren't prepared for it, and then it snowballs. But yeah,
exactly.
Speak more on that.
Yeah, exactly. So as soon as they see that you're going to have your money for the first time, and it's going to be you're a young adult, you've got your own space, you're going to buy that one extra thing that you've always wanted. I can remember walking down the aisle in a grocery store when I was in college and going in the cereal aisle and going, I'm going to get Lucky Charms because I can. I was just it was like this, so silly. It was so liberating to do what I wanted to with the money I had. Now that's a financial idea. You take that through anything, spiritually, emotionally, relationally. It doesn't matter. I see that. I have the time, space, energy, whatever. I'm going to go get it. And for that, and we've always been a quick, somewhat of a, flippant, instant kind of culture. Yeah. For centuries we've been that way. It's not just brand new. It's just everything's becoming more accessible. Therefore, when now we're in this area where it's or in this realm and generation where you can, if you see it, you can probably go get it. And that's through a lot of things. And I just think if the world's working so hard to reach these younger individuals, and then they're like, okay, how in the world do we reach the young adults? And they're trying everything to do it. I want to be a person who steps in the middle of that, at least to be a person who brings significance to people, knowing that they want to find something that's unique with them, and they also want to discover that there is more than life than just getting that extra whatever or that cool whatever. Mm-hmm. And it, even though it doesn't, make them all happy and stuff, pseudo happy for a second or two, but man, if I could bring something to the table and encourage them to do something more, dude, that's the why. And then it's like, if I get just that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that I get to do that with, I mean, it makes a difference in the world. So it's huge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Significance. That's such a key word.
Oh yeah.
And in my experience leading small groups, I mean, I'm even seeing, maybe not necessarily in everybody, because I don't get to know everyone super well, but I'm even seeing like a craving start of like maybe questioning, am I in the current job is my current job what I should be doing? I want to be doing more. I want more to this life, to my career, to my 2,000 hours a year that I spend.
Yeah.
And then even after work, people starting to get involved in other things. And certainly you don't see it in the moment, the little change day by day. But, looking back now, I've been leading this group a year and a half. I mean, I definitely see change. Like people change, like in just a year and a half, people are changing what their career was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Changing where they live, who they associate with, what they do on the weekends.
Yeah.
And, how do we better do that? How do we better convey and motivate that significance that it is possible?
Yeah.
Which might even be a first step. How do we do that?
Right. Yeah. I don't think I have all the answer there, but I would 100% believe that get them to serve other people, right? Christ defines finding yourself by losing yourself, right? So if we want to find the significance of who we are, or just we're a part of something larger, I tell you, there's no better way to do it than to put down your own agenda and go, let me go see if I can help them. I mean, all this hurricane stuff, I had buddies go down to literally like take a truck down to Texas and just go help out, just put their boat and just go help out,
Right.
And watching them like text back, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm part of it. Like, they want to know, like, they're part of something different. They're a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
Serving people is always, I believe, the number one thing. And that's why as the ministry that we're working with, we knew serving was going to be a good component or a major component to it. You got to find significance. You got to put down your life. And I guarantee you, no matter who I've talked to, if you're going to help somebody, I know it's the old cliche, help a woman across the street, or you're going to...
I did that one time.
Did you really?
I want to get props right now.
That's
Everyone
amazing.
listening, dude, I want to get props.
I don't think
I want likes for whatever video.
I've never seen an old lady struggle.
If
an old lady's going to start.
They're not struggling that bad. No, it's kind of funny because I was in a season, I was training for an Ironman. I was biking to work back and forth across downtown in North Charleston, 15-mile bike ride, and I was biking home and through MUSC area.
Right.
And there was this lady, and fragile lady. She could have been lost too, for all I knew. But yeah, she was so worried, like 80-year-old lady trying to cross that street. Got off my bike. So let's
done.
Let's go, young lady.
I've never come here,
bring
young
on
snapper.
Bring on the pride.
I think that's great.
Anyway.
I've never even tried to do that.
You get few
I've known
opportunities.
to do that. Yeah, I never see old people struggling across the street. They're all struggling to drive, and you can't help them there.
That's right. Oh man, they are 2 and 10, eyes wide open, man.
So just giving up yourself and doing that. And of course, I'm married. I've got a beautiful wife,
Nicole.
Yep.
Get a 2
kids
kids now.
2 beautiful
You had Owen
children.
when you first moved here. Now you've got another young one.
Yeah, Anna Capri Pearl. She is a year and 4 months or so.
A year and 4 months already.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, you lay down yourself all the time with kids and a wife.
Right.
Or you fight. Yeah, or you should be.
I don't
or
know,
you
40
fight,
to 50% is not a good.
Yeah. No, it's like, divorce is super high.
And I know you're passionate about that area too with young people.
Oh, huge.
And for those listeners too, so you preaching at the well on a weekly basis. Right. I mean, I was getting fed. I'll use that terminology.
Yeah.
And I was getting fed good, content, good sermons, on a weekly basis, man, to which I really appreciate, man.
Heck yeah, dude.
I mean, your influence both in my life and thousands of college students, plus young adults over the years is phenomenal. But I definitely, can rethink of trends from years, and you'd bring up relationships a lot, which I agree. I think is a big,
absolutely
big thing that we could do better as young people. And in culture.
Yeah, if you kept the line of significance, right? What gives you significance? The strongest thing is,
it's a really good question.
I would say, is a relationship brings you significance.
Mm-hmm. Like being known?
No, not just. I'd say like an actual physical, like emotional relationship. Mm-hmm. The problem is that person then holds your significance, right? So if I said to my wife, and this is true, like I tell her, like I love her, I care for her, but she doesn't give me all of my significance. Like she doesn't hold it in her hands because people fail you all the time. And I'd always say that people are going to fail you.
Right.
That's just what's going to happen. So it's like significance can be found in people by them, either encouraging you, strengthening you, all that good stuff. Always find good people that do that. But I would never, in a relationship, whether you're 12 or you're 90 years old, if you found your only significance in a person, I mean, you're doomed to fail, and you're doomed to have an emotional breakdown based on that alone. So that's another huge why.
That's a big thing.
This generation, as well as many others, they need to realize so much that they can't put it all in any one thing. I believe, as a Christian, I put my whole significance in Christ. Mm-hmm. Therefore, he never fails me. Right? He's never going to fail me, no matter what it is. And I've had some crazy difficult times. But relationship, finances, emotion, whatever it is, likes on an Instagram feed, whatever. If I put my significance in it, it will fail me. Then I will then be twisted up inside and look more for significance, and then go try to do it again and again and again and again and again. And but I believe serving is one of those things where you give everything of yourself to this person, and by the time it's all done and said, you realize how much you've gotten back, but it wasn't even something you actually brought to the table. They didn't even bring it to the table. It's something about serving and being a part of other people like that. So that's
you have the potential to change someone's whole story, whole life. I mean, you never know when your actions, they'll tell a story about how that was one of the most impactful days of their life.
Bingo.
Your serving, your commitment, and there's so many examples I could even give, but I'll only say from a broad standpoint, the well, when I first got involved, and this was just before, well, maybe a year before you got there. Actually, the well wasn't doing weekly sermons. They were just serving. Like maybe it was every other week or so.
Right. And
that's how I initially got plugged into the well when I was in college.
Oh yeah.
When Ernest was leading, and they were praying about moving downtown to downtown Charleston. So they didn't really have a place, and we were just serving. We did some basketball with the inner city kids and keeping score. Where else did we serve? We cooked food for the fire department once, probably more than once. But we did all these things, and that really touched something inside of me. That it was a great opportunity to serve with other people my age, which was so much fun. It was like so cool. And then we'd go eat afterwards. I mean, that's like the perfect. One of the best things you can do. Oh,
it's the best.
Right? Serve others, then just go have community with the people that you served with.
Yeah.
And that's how I initially got plugged into the well in college. And, we all serve in areas of ministry for different reasons, and maybe it impacted us, or maybe we're trying to help people from making the same mistakes.
Right.
Maybe some combination of all that. But definitely, and then I became sort of volunteer leader for a bit. But definitely I love going to the well and serving at the well, just because it was such a great resource for me. Yeah. I think. And I got involved maybe halfway through college. Yeah. But that second half, finishing is a lot more important, I think, than even starting. And who knows where I'd be if I hadn't fully committed myself to ministerial areas on the side, not professionally. Yeah. Who knows necessarily where I'd be had I not done that, and had there not been opportunities to serve. So I'll at least give that as a huge plug. This impacted me, these opportunities. And so moving forward, as we're planning these events for Current, those serving opportunities are going to be that same thing for people in college now and young adults now. Absolutely. And they're going to look back at this season coming up that hasn't even happened yet. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's going to be a turning point for some people. Yeah. Which I'm excited about. And I know you guys are planning and praying. Oh yeah. A lot of planning and praying. It feels like there's so much need out there. It's like, how do you piece it all together, organize it? How do you focus? Yeah. How do you, and it's definitely a major piece. I was thinking of a story to kind of iterate again this why of where I am, what I'm doing, and how I'm doing it, and the love that I have for. Now again, will God keep me in this role? Will my job keep me in this role forever? I don't know. Maybe another 10 years, 5 years, whatever. But I believe going 100% like yourself. You're going to go 100% into something, and you're going to stop when there's a stop sign, or a wall. So it's like I'm either waiting for one of those two things. And so, anyway, I was thinking about this story I've told so many times downtown. But when I was in college, just to reiterate some of the craziness of my college years, and I was fortunate not to really have many negative, influential friends in college.
I had an incredible group of about 12 people or so, just like I did in high school. Just amazing people around me. They weren't all Christians. They were just good people. And I remember when I finally turned 21, crazy enough, I don't know how it happened, but I know that I didn't want to drink until I was 21, just mainly because I wasn't trying to be a goody two shoes.
Stephen, that's impossible.
It sounds crazy, but I wanted to be an art teacher, and that's what I did for 3 years, right out of college. If I was even at a party that was associated with alcohol, and I was there, and the cops came, and I wasn't drinking or was drinking, either one, I couldn't get my license in Pennsylvania, and so my college would have been
Pastoral
totally scrapped.
license, right?
No, teaching license.
Oh, teaching. Okay, right. This is pre-pastoral.
So, yeah, pre-pastoral stuff. So I knew that the risk to being a part of even crowds like that or whatever, it just wasn't worth it to me. Like one hangout night, it just wasn't worth it to me. Like even if there was like, I don't know, it just wasn't worth it. So I was just like, no, I'm never going to do that until I'm 21. Well, I turned 21 eventually. That happened. Well done. Thank you. And man, I just was like, all right, free time. Let's go do whatever. And it became a very casual thing, but it became very, crazy. I remember this one time, and I did church stuff all the way through, college. And I remember this one time I used to sing a lot. And so I would do this stuff for church and stuff like that. I was really involved with church, always involved with church. I found significance in church.
Right.
And so, but I was singing and doing all this stuff. And I remember one night going out and drinking way more than I should have on a Saturday night, knowing that I had to go sing the next morning. And I remember getting up with a massive hangover, stumbled into church at 8 o'clock in the morning, sang this solo or whatever at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, got out of church like 10, 11 o'clock after the services, and literally went to myself and said, wow, I could do this. AKA, I could fake it and nobody will notice. This is great. I just remember knowing that I wasn't in a place, one, I wasn't challenged. I wasn't held accountable for what I was doing or a part of or anything. And I really played church as, I'll do it on the weekends, but Friday, Saturday night, it's mine. Like, sure, you want to have a Bible study on Wednesday? That's no big deal. No, I got that, no problem. But Friday, Saturday, it's mine. And I kept it, almost idolized it. And I just remember being at those moments and going, wow, I think I can do this. And then, obviously, there's no major end to that story that's real surprising, realizing over and over you just can't. It's just, it becomes so, you become too fake for yourself. And so you get to a point where I just remember just being like, this is silly. I got to get out of here. So finally I graduated and went to a small town and taught for a couple years. And that was another whole different season of life. But so anyway, that's a major part. I remember those moments of being like, if I had somebody around me, just coaching me, pushing me, challenging me, if I had a voice in my world, whether it was a young or an older voice, it wouldn't have mattered. Like this podcast, like a voice to a people to say, you don't have to act like everybody else. Like it's okay to be different in the fact of being stronger, bolder, wiser, and looking more to the future than your current situations.
Yeah, that's so big, having those voices that you can basically. There's different words, and I'm reading a book by Tony Robbins. Call it conditioning, call it programming. Sure. But we're all somehow, I think, conditioning or programming our minds and our thoughts, even our behaviors. And a lot of times we get conditioned instead of us programming what we do want. So, I think about online social media, and I think about celebrities, and I think about what those major influences are to the young adults or the teens, students listening. And that is a big why for this podcast, at least, because I don't think there are a ton of great resources other than little sound bites.
Sure.
Anyone can make a 5-minute video, I think. That's like, that'll motivate you, I think. And motivation is great, I think. But you want some kind of consistent fuel source, I think. A little bit of motivation that just wears off.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so sad to me because I got rid of social media. We were talking about social media beforehand. I'm kind of trying to figure out social media for this podcast from like a business standpoint.
Sure.
But there's so many negative influences, I think, that, there's like a machine, I think, that we think it's our friend, but it's only in it for itself. That includes Facebook as a company, I think.
Sure.
They're all marketing experts.
Oh, yeah.
And they know who they're marketing to. And celebrities are all the same way. They know how to get you.
Yep.
And and I think that's a big why as well that you shared over time.
Yep.
Just having good influences.
Yeah, it's huge. Huge. I would say everyone wants a mentor. Nobody wants to be a mentee.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No one wants to be held kind of accountable or get helped.
Or continually go back to a food source where they're challenged. So most even individuals, the soundbite's good because it's not going to, I don't have to listen to it twice. I can if I want to, but it's not going to challenge me to become something different. With a mentor, I've had hundreds of people ask, Stephen, will you be my mentor? And the first thing I tell them is, sure, I'd love to, but I'm not going to call you. You have to call me every week. We'll set up a time, 10 o'clock on Wednesday. You call me, and that's it. And 9 times out of 10, I never hear back from them, ever. Mm-hmm. Now, were they busy? They set up the time. Are they whatever? So I'm just saying, people want to be mentored. They want to have something in their life, and it's so vital because we start to realize more and more that the more and more we go our own path or in our own way, we don't have all the tools and all the answers, and so we start running out of stuff. And so we need someone to speak into the things that we're not good at.
Yeah.
And whether that's relationships or finances or whatever, school, whatever. And
could be anywhere.
Could be literally any vocation.
Just because you're a student, there's teachers there, there's coaches. If you're still in high school or college or whatever.
Yeah.
There's people there that are there to help you. You got to make an action though. Usually people won't necessarily. Oh, I see. I know exactly what your problem is. Let me help you with it.
Yeah. That's the movie.
Like they're mind readers.
That's the movie.
Right,
it's the movie. It's the I'm drawing a blank on the movie. It's the grasshopper to the mentor. It's the Karate Kid. No, Karate Kid.
Oh, I thought I nailed that one.
It's the
there was a grasshopper in that movie. I do remember.
There was, yeah.
It's 1998 throwback.
Everybody sees these movies and they go, and this is wouldn't it be awesome if it worked this way? If somebody saw you from across the way, right? Oh my gosh, Kyle. Man, you're on the bike. Oh, man, you must want to be a triathlete. No way. And he brings you in, puts him under his wing, and Lance just brings you to the top.
Lance? Yeah. That was a great impersonation of some kind of surfing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, cowabunga.
So it's like that's what we're dreaming about. All the time. We think someone's just going to...
Like a miracle to happen.
Oh, it's just going to happen. Yeah, and someone's going to find me. I'd say if there was one thing... for the last literally 5 to 10 years about social media, Instagram, that it's told people, and the lie is they'll find me. They'll find me.
That's getting
they'll
deep.
Find me. And they, doesn't matter who they are, they might be a company that wants to sell something to you. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter who they are, but somebody's going to find me, see how significantly special I am. And when they see how special I am, Kyle, when they see that picture that I posted, and when they see that little video snippet thing with the doggy ears, and when they see that boomerang that I put out, they'll find me. They'll finally find me, and I'll be discovered, and I'll be successful to the point where they're finally telling me I'm significant enough.
They're validating.
They validate who I am. So we get to this place constantly oh my goodness, I better do something more, have it out there. And it's just I tell you, it's we want someone to find us, but being aggressive about that mentor or that person or this podcast or that listen, if it's not a physical person, which I still believe is the best, but if it's not that, have something else challenge you, motivate you, make you think different about the way you are thinking right now. Be okay with that. Only immaturity comes out of the idea that I know everything. Only immaturity. If you're a forever learner, you are a mature person. And that'll carry until you're 100.
I like it.
Or whatever.
I like it. We're about to have to take our first and final break, I guess. I don't know. Halftime break.
Halftime.
I don't know how to segue into the break. What's the highest mountain you've ever climbed?
Highest mountain I've ever climbed. Do I have to already be at an elevation, or can I be like, if I'm around here and I go up like 5 stories from 0 to like
whatever sounds
200?
most impressive.
Okay, most impressive I would say would have been in the Catskills of New York. It was about 6,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 feet.
6,000 square feet, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with Stephen Popadich, who climbed a 6,000 foot mountain. I started to say square foot because I'm so used to that.
Square foot mountain.
Square foot mountain. That's what we do in engineering. It's all about square feet.
One.
Dude, I didn't know you sang.
I know.
I didn't know you used to sing.
Weird. I was just that artsy kid. Like, all artsy kids did all sorts of crazy stuff. Oh, yeah. Singing.
As long as the artsy kid's saying that, then I don't feel so bad.
Dance.
You did some dancing?
Oh, yeah. Hip-hop. The works, bro.
Hip-hop, dude.
I mean, I did.
I need to dig into YouTube or something, see if I can find you.
Country line. Yeah, right. Don't do that. You'll never find anything. Country line dancing. Oh, yeah, bro. Music, operas, ballets, symphonies. Orchestra. I mean,
when you said ballet, I immediately had just a weird image.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Head.
No, I never did ballets. I mean, I thought that would be awesome.
You just said ballets.
No, I mean, like, I wasn't in them. I saw.
You watched them?
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Oh well, what's that take? A $10 ticket or something?
Sometimes not that. It's like $1.
They'll pay you to go. To
Yeah, see the ballet. Okay. No, I love that stuff. That's all I did is watch art and all sorts of art. So that was it. It's my whole life.
Yeah.
All growing up for 25, 30 years was all artwork.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
now it's all ministry work, which is good.
You get to incorporate your artistic background.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah. If I didn't do that, I'd probably die.
you would just get.
I'd have no. I'd be like,
feathers,
what am I doing?
like exploding. Just.
Yeah. Like a eagle in a jet engine. That's how it happened.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And that's the good way to say that is eagles may soar, but weasels don't get stuck in jet engines.
Well, that did rhyme, and that sounded like a creative thing. That is true,
don't be a weasel. Most people are like, don't be the weasel. And it's like, well, yeah, but eagles get stuck in jet engines, so what do weasels have to
You should just
worry
be
about?
a lower flying eagle or whatever. Or a higher flying eagle.
That's a little better.
Or a higher
You should just
I went the wrong way with that, didn't I?
Flow a lot lower.
You should just glide.
With the eagle.
You can be a seagull. Get in the fish.
Be more of a dove.
Forget eagle, be a seagull.
There you go. Forget eagle, be a seagull.
Trademark. I like that. That rhymed really well.
Trademark.
TM. Well, I guess we'll get re-kicked off with this second half.
Come on.
Of the podcast. And yeah, we were just talking about the art thing. And so you were at that point, I guess you were around 25, where I'm sure you've always had leadership within you exercising it in some way, but you went from being a high school art teacher to being a pastor.
Yeah.
Which I know we won't be able to get into that entire road, but leadership is a huge thing. You know, some people think of pastors and all they think about maybe is quoting scripture or preaching from a stage, but pastors are leaders. They're some of the most, in my mind, they're some of the most influential people in our culture.
Yeah.
And so I know you have a lot to say about leadership, but maybe let's go back. You know, you've mentioned a story growing up on someone speaking into your potential.
Yeah.
And kind of shifting your direction a little bit.
Right.
So let's speak to that.
Even earlier, we talked about the idea of being found, is so vital to everyone. But I'll tell you, there's a two side to this story. There's the leader side, the individual, and then there's the following side that's important. Without the two components, a lot of this never works, I would say. So I was at a Newsboys concert.
I like some Newsboys.
Yeah, Newsboys. They're still around, which is amazing.
They are, yeah. God's Not Dead, He's Fully Alive, isn't that? I think
yes, that's Newsboys.
Think.
Yes, okay. They came back with that song, which is a not their song to begin with, but it's a good song.
All right, I'll edit that part out.
Wow. No,
I swear I love Newsboys.
No, I mean it is. They did that. They redid that song, but it's Daniel Bash's song.
Look at you showing off.
I know, right? It's only because I know him. I mean, it's only because of whatever. Just kidding. I saw him once. I don't know him.
On the internet, I saw him.
Yeah, I saw him. Okay, anyway. So I was at this concert and I was cleaning up. Like, serving's never been hard for me. Like, I love serving. And because one of the things I always felt with serving, I could be behind the scenes and nobody would care much about Stephen. They'd always, like, I could just go serve. I never liked to be in front of people. I never wanted to be speaking. I never wanted to be on stage. Nothing. But I was always serving. I loved to serve. It was easy for me. I could follow directions well. All of my history of family is all in the military. Like, I credit like that history of like just listening and doing. Like, I always would have done service because I loved that.
Your dad was military.
My dad was military. My grandfather was Navy. And so like there's a history there of just like, I don't know, just being really good at taking order and like listening to your authority. And so I was just,
which is something to that. I think in our culture, we think, oh, you're taking order. Like, what are you, not a man? Or what are you, like, not a free thinker? It's like sometimes taking orders isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you trust your authority, when you trust the person that's there, and maybe you don't even trust them, but they've been placed there. We've had a discussion a little bit ago about, what is the authorities? What are the characteristics of authority? One of those characteristics is that they're running a trail that you'd want to run. You want to be on in that stream. So whether they're a successful business individual or a successful teacher or a person or a musician, whatever, they've at least run part of the race that's been difficult. And if they face trials, you'll want to listen to what's going on. So I remember being at this concert, and I remember, doing everything in a serve. And anyway, this guy named Chris Brown was from a church from California, which is one of my pastor's very good friends. So he was there. He was my favorite communicator. I love this dude. He would tell a story through the Bible, and you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm there! Like, I can't believe it! Like, I smell the sandals! I'm there!" Again, the surfer. And
right, that's your go-to.
It's my go-to. And so I remember listening to him and I don't even have a clue what the sermon was about, but I do remember I was cleaning up and I was looking for this thing that was lost or something. I'm searching and I'm looking. And I kid you not, he literally, I don't even know where he was or how he got there. He like extendo arm or something, but he like grabbed me by the shirt, like just like boom, and like brought me in like literally as close as possible. Like I'm not like I could, like I thought he was like I could smell him and he'd smell me, and it was just like I was like, what's going on? Like, this is super weird. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, hey dude, he didn't know my name. He's like, dude, you're a leader. Act like one. Boom. It pushed me away. And I'm like, the nerve.
That's right. Who's this guy think he is?
Who does he think he is?
He don't even know my name.
Don't even know. And it was like, sure, did I admire this guy already? Yeah. Was I found at that moment? No, I wasn't displaying really anything that I could imagine what a leader would be. Mm-hmm. But he saw that there was hunger and there was serving. A servant was the first component to being a leader. And I always tell people, it is so hard to take a leader and make him into a servant. It is super easy to take a servant and make him a leader.
That's interesting. I like that.
Going the other direction doesn't work out. Doesn't work. It can work, but you got to break. You got to break that person down to become a servant. Servants will naturally become exceptional leaders. Exceptional leaders. So as I heard that, and I was like, well, what's that mean? And it literally set something in me. Now here's the follower part of me. He was the leader part because he got to speak life into people. And I tell you, even Paul talks about in the Bible, he says, if you can do anything, like, it's speak life into people, right? He's like, if you could do don't speak in tongues, don't try to pray for people to get it. Just here's what you got to do. Here's the best thing you can do is pray for people. And is to speak life into people and tell them about their future, about who God says that they are.
Mm-hmm.
So when he did that, he had a voice, and everyone can do that, by the way. Like, that's not like just some random, like, oh gosh, you have to be anointed to be speaking in people's life, or oh, you have to have some no, you don't.
Like, you don't have to be a person that's been baptized. You don't necessarily have to be a person going to church currently, even, for that matter.
Absolutely not. Like, that could have been any kind of interaction, but I was susceptible to that point in saying, all right, if I am supposed to act like one, what's that look like? And so from then on, then I had one or two other people just believe in me, I guess is a good word to say, but also just, I wouldn't even say they were like, all right, let's go mentor and let's go do this stuff, and you read this book and I'll read this book, and no, it's just like, hey, come follow me. Like, hey, come hang out with me.
Yeah.
Hey, come hang out with me. Hey, I'll do what I'm doing. I want you to do. Hey, come do that. Come do that. Come do that. And then every single time, and I remember I did this program called 24/7, which was a leadership school at a church. I was going to
ask you about that.
Yeah. Called Church at a Church of the Highlands. It was 24/7, literally 24/7. We'd pray for an hour. I know it sounds super spiritual, but we'd pray for an hour every single day. We'd work out for an hour every single day. Then we'd have practicums and classes all about scripture and leadership, and then all sorts of material that we were interested in. So communication, all that kind of stuff. I did that for a full year.
Yeah, and so that's a full year leadership program out of one of the biggest churches in America, Church of the Highlands in Alabama.
Yep.
I'm getting that right?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Where your wife went
That's where I found
back
her.
in the day.
That's where I found her.
I tell you, leadership programs.
Leadership program.
That's where you go get them right there. You got your surfer voice. I've got like my old man country.
It's more of a
voice.
Country voice, yeah.
Yeah, well, Alabama, right? That's country folk.
Absolutely.
And so that was a full year. And when did you do that?
So I did that. It was crazy. I did that whenever I was finished with my. So I went after I taught for 3 years in a high school, coached, did the works in high school, loved it. But then was like, I want to get back and get my master's in painting. And as I was working towards my portfolio for my master's, I really didn't have one. As I was working for it, I finally got accepted to do my master's. But at that very time, there was this conflict in me because one of my pastors said, and this is, again, one of those voices. Like, I can't tell you how vital a small voice, a quick encouragement to somebody, how powerful that is. And so this guy was like, hey, I think you should go do this program. It's a leadership school for 9 months. You can't date. I'm 26, by the way, not married, no girlfriend. I'm just like, no. Why would I do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I want to get married.
You lost me at dating.
You ought me as like no dating. And it was like all this different stuff that I would have to go sacrifice to go do. And I tell you, I was just like, you know what? It's a year or 9 months. They're paying for it. What do I have to lose? Let's go check this thing out. So I went down there. And I tell you, I learned so much about discipline. I learned about just speaking life into people. I learned so much about the power of Scripture and the not just power as in what it can do, but what it can physically do into others' lives, and to really encourage them and to then help others. And man, I tell you, it was a very difficult year, but exceptional, just exceptional. So we would go on mission trips. I mean, we literally did multiple different training programs that got us to where we could stay awake at certain times, eat whatever we needed to, physically do whatever we needed to do. And it was like not a SEALs training, but like it was like a military training that we would often do. We did combat. I mean, it sounds I know this whole program sounds crazy. Anyway, it's
more than just like a pastoral. It's not like just like a seminary school or anything like that. And I don't know if you got your pastoral education through that. It's just leadership. But yeah, I mean, we know Ben Mayer, who also did basically the same program. And yeah, I mean, he's also told me about it. It's an intense program. I mean, you did say you prayed for an hour, you exercised for an hour, but it was like 24/7. Yeah. And you did a half Ironman. Is that right?
Did a half Ironman. Did 2 half Ironmans. Did a full marathon. It was based on
pretty intense.
Luke 2:52. He talks about the very small bit of how Jesus grew up, which we don't know anything till he was 30. Right. And so, which is crazy to think, like he had a whole 30 years of something. But it does say in Luke 2:52, he grew in stature, which is your physical body. He grew in wisdom. grew in favor with God and favor with man. So the program focused on those 4 areas. And so physical stature, wisdom, we had to learn. Favor with God, we had to get a word with prayer and scripture and worship and everything. And then favor with people. How do you deal with, how do you actually become a good person in society to utilize the gifts that God's given you already?
Yeah.
But like, okay, how do you be smart with your money? Okay. Yeah. Like how do you be smart with your business partner? Like, how do you do all that stuff? So it taught us that too.
I really like that. Hang on. Can we run through those 4 pillars? Because some people, they think, they're like you. What does it look like to be this person that I want to be?
Sure.
Whether it's practically or whether it's just, how do I get a big picture idea of, I want to get there, but how do I get there? What does that look like?
Yeah.
I think 4 pillars, those 4 pillars, I think hit a lot. If you can break down your personal development into those 4 areas, I'm sure there's plenty more, but it worked for that program. So maybe
they still
run through
do
those again.
Yeah. So it's again, talking about Luke 2:52.
So
scriptural reference.
Book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 52.
Yeah.
For those that want to look it up.
It talks about Jesus grew in stature. So even him as a, fully man, he had to build himself. He had to structurally grow.
And I love that. I think of Jesus, this is just because I'm an endurance athlete.
Sure.
I think of Jesus as one of the greatest endurance athletes. And I know that can be cheesy and it's been said by other people, but he lived in the forest for 40 days or whatnot, fasting. Okay. Yeah. You got to be pretty hardcore if you can camp for 40 days with technology of that day.
Yeah.
He carried, I guess he didn't carry the cross all the way to Golgotha. I think
most of it. Yeah. Somebody
carried part. Just to be able to do the things he did and travel for years doing ministry. Oh, yeah. I think of a pretty stout dude personally. That's just the way I think of it, though. We don't have a picture,
You're right. No. I mean, and plus, and I remember there was a message I gave, and it was your physical body is very, very reflective of your spiritual nature.
Yeah, I remember that message.
To your, can you prepare your body to withstand your calling was the message. So preparing your body to withstand the calling that God's put in your life. Are you able to pray at odd hours? Are you able to go at missions trips? And are you able to give yourself up? So Jesus grew in stature, and I 100% believe through those 30 years of stature growing, muscle, hands. Carpenter. His dad was a carpenter. He was a carpenter. He wouldn't have had enough money to become a rabbi or in rabbinical school, which, all the disciples never went to rabbinical school. The reason they were fishermen was because their dads were fishermen. Like, that's why they're fishermen. So you see Jesus, and he's doing this, and he's growing in stature to withstand the next 3 years of walking mile upon mile upon
covered a
sandals,
lot of ground,
right?
Oh my gosh!
To be able to communicate to people on an absolute daily basis, and communication is a lot of work. To heal people, to raise them up, to do all these things, to provide for others, to give himself for these 3 years. It took 30 years of preparation. So he grew in stature. So he grew in wisdom. That's important. Jesus didn't sit back and go, all right, I'm fully God, therefore I'm just like the Matrix. And all right, download jiu-jitsu right now. Like, download. No, he had to study.
Yeah, at some point he had to learn the scriptures.
He had to.
I mean, maybe you can debate, was it just like profound knowledge that he knew the scriptures? But I have to imagine he had to learn, he had to read the scriptures.
Yeah,
maybe he caught on a lot quicker than a lot of other people.
Yeah, what's his IQ? What's Jesus' IQ?
Yeah, that's right.
But the piece that he had that nobody else had, whether you can have all the wisdom in the world, all the knowledge in the world, but do you have wisdom? Wisdom to decipher what between information is true wisdom. And so within Jesus's world, he went to the synagogue, he went to the temple, he went to the areas where people taught the scriptures. And so he's listening and learning and studying and reading, and he's doing all these things. So he grew in wisdom. And then, of course, the third is grow in favor with God. Now that was his personal relationship with God, his Father. Whether you love your father or not, a lot of people have different opinions about their own physical dad. Often the relationship we have with God is very similar to the relationship we have with our own father. If your father's authoritative, you believe God's authoritative. That's a pretty easy,
it's kind of common,
very common
rule of
theme,
thumb, sort of.
And if you don't have a dad or abandoned dad, why the blank would you have God? Because he's just an abandoned father. So it's like, well, he's not around. My dad's not around. He's not around. It's just a lot of people pull the physical into the spiritual, but in this regard, he knew his father, and he knew that he had to be with him. On an emotional level, on a mental level. He had to know that there's something larger than me out there, not just helping me, giving me wisdom, but there truly is a guide. There's someone with us. And we say now that's the Holy Spirit, like in Acts, like when Jesus left, now we have the Holy Spirit as wisdom in us. How much we commune with wisdom and Holy Spirit and God and all that, honestly, often depends on all of that stuff, but it also will show in our wisdom, depending on how much we are in relationship with God and with His Holy Spirit. So often Jesus would go often and take time alone with God. Right. Now he would often even after. After he fed the 5,000, he went off. He said, okay, I'm going to go off and go do this. And they're like, all right, see you later. And they went across the sea to go to the other side. And Jesus is all hanging out with God. And then the disciples are in this like storm going on. And they're like, Jesus is like, oh gosh, my boys are stuck again. So that's when he walks on the water and comes back to it. So he's away with, even in trialing times, it seems like where is Jesus? So he's just hanging out with God right now. And that's something I would say, but above all things, if you're a Christian, is the most important thing you can ever do for everybody else in the world and for you is your personal relationship with Jesus Christ is the most vital thing ever. Right. That's all your source. That's where everything comes from. That challenges me every single day to be like, if He is my source, have I spent time reading, listening? Listening's the hard part for everybody. Reading's easy because it's information. But am I letting that information really settle in my heart and become a part of who I am? And so growing favor with God and then favor with man. Favor with man, that's one of the components that I believe churches have kind of ignored for a long time. How do I actually gain favor with the people of the world through different races, through different business tactics, through different social backgrounds, through different economic backgrounds? How do I relate and build relationship with people? And if it wasn't important, why would it be one of the 4 things Jesus did for 30 years? It's got to be vital. Right. With a world that's telling us all to focus on ourselves and do everything we can for us, there is a massive push to understand how to actually be in conversation with and fellowship with so many different people. For Jesus to be able to talk to the leaders, for Him to be able to not only talk to the extreme officials of the military or the officials of the time, not only to have wisdom and to talk to them, He must have had favor with them to talk to them, but then also favor and wisdom to talk to the blind man. Right. And the crippled, he had favor in all dimensions. Right. Thinking that we can only have one people group of individuals around us. Doesn't matter if, it's like, great, you have that one people group, but do you have favor with all people groups? Right. That's a question you can ask. And you don't even have to ask, just look around you. Like say, all right, who are my friends? Do I have socially different friends? Do I have racially different friends? Do I have economic, do I have different, are there friends that are different? What? Right. And you look around yourself and you say, okay, no. Well, then you've pigeonholed yourself into a one. If they're like me, then I like them, right? That's easy to do. Yeah. If you like, so anyway, those are the 4 components of Luke 2:52. That's what we built the program on. And it worked. It worked really well. And you can mold that to anything. Right.
Yeah. I think anyone could apply that. That's solid, and certainly in the 10 minutes or so that you described that, you hit a lot, and there's certainly plenty more we could say about it. Sure. The how and the why. I think this is going to hit that part, especially is going to hit with somebody though that they're going to say, okay, I need to get on the bandwagon in at least one of those areas. At least start with one of those areas.
One of the areas, yeah.
You know, and I think all of us, there's always strengths and weaknesses. You know, some of us, we're just good at relating with people.
Sure.
You know, but maybe we're not good at taking care of our body, or maybe we're not good at sitting down and having a daily discipline of reading. It doesn't even have to be reading, but or maybe we need to pause sometimes, slow down. I know I struggle with that. Slow down and maybe reflect. Think about the deeper meaning in this or that.
Yeah.
So I love that, man. I definitely think, playing on that last point about church, definitely something that's been more apparent to me is how much church is just this mixing pot of just so many different people.
Yeah.
You know, church has caused me to relate to people that if we were all in school, I probably wouldn't necessarily sit at this person's table at lunch or hang out with that person at a, you know, if I was younger, at recess or whatnot. But church, there's a common denominator of something, probably of many things, but definitely of something there that you're all pursuing, whether you want to call it significance, pursuing your relationship with God, and that binds you all somehow together to where all those others, you know, so I like comic books, or I like sports, or I like TV, or I like movies. Right. It's like none of that really matters in the grand scheme of things. It's fun. It's good to have friends that have similar interests and all that.
Yeah.
But I love that, you know.
It's unbelievable. And I just took a trip. I've visited tons of churches all around. Just took a trip up to New York, and we went to Hillsong up in New York. And it's right downtown Manhattan. They've got a couple locations up there. But anyway, we walked in, and I had this perception that, you know, many churches, like businesses, will pull from very successful other businesses. And well, this church is probably the most successful of all that we've seen. And Highlands is definitely one of those as well. But there's hundreds and thousands of others. And anyway, so I walked in thinking, all right, everything's going to be perfect. Like, this thing is going to be run smoothly. Everyone's going to say exactly the words they need to say. Like, they're going to have the best on-ramping program, the best assimilation. They're going to have everything. Like, I'm going to walk out of there and go, oh my goodness, I can't believe this place. I walked up in there, and you know the thing, out of process, structure, excellence, all that stuff, I walked out with the one thought. There are a ton of random, totally different, totally awkward, totally completely different languages, different tones, different everything in this one building. And the one thing I felt more than anything in the world was love. And I walked in there and I walked out of there thinking to myself, how on earth did they create that? Like, how did they create an environment, not only that everyone's coming to, because that's New York City. Like, you get on the subway and you're like in every single person's world. Like, it's the most amazing thing ever. You walk down the sidewalk and you hear 6 different languages. Like, you don't do that in Charleston. That's for sure.
So wild. Yeah. And I've never really been to New York. So that's so.
Oh gosh, you got to go.
And
just to experience like that vibe, like that feeling of being in a place where everyone's so different, but then finally to come to one location, and then for us to worship one God, one that we believe is the only way to do that. It was almost overwhelming. And I've never been in a position where I felt like that ever before. And they didn't like all walk up and give you hugs and be weird. And they didn't. Dude, like, they were just like, something about the way they carried, how much they cared for people. They're like, just, we care for you. It's their home.
Just caring for others.
It was unbelievable. And I walked away right there. And I walked away just going, I got to create environments like that. More and more, where people just feel there's no judgment about who I am, what I'm wearing. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment about my thought process or what I'm thinking about today or the sin that I just walked out of or into or whatever. There's no judgment, just pure, unbelievable love. And love is, again, right? Corinthians talks greatly about love, but the idea, it is everything. Love is the thing. But to create environments like
1 Corinthians 13.
That's the love chapter. Yeah.
If you've been to any wedding, you've heard 1 Corinthians 13 more than likely.
That's right. And it says, but above all things, love, you know. So
I like it.
Yeah. So that's it's important that we can create stuff like that and be a part of stuff like that.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, as maybe a final thought or two.
Yeah.
Of that speaking life of those listeners, whether they're college or somewhere prior, somewhere
Yeah.
following college, what would be maybe an idea or two that you would like to speak into them?
I would say this. I think this is probably the most possibly contrasted statement, even to my ears when I first heard it. And I think it's one of those pieces that deals with serving, and I think it deals with a whole ton of other things. But I say if I could get to the last breath of my life when I hopefully go at like 60 something. I really don't want to be that old.
Dude, raise that bar, man.
I know,
you got to get your Social Security at least.
Okay, 60. Is it
Well,
2 now?
we may not have Social Security by then.
Yeah. Don't even promise me on that.
I don't know.
It's the money under my mattress is what we can.
That's
No,
right.
that's about that ain't it. Investing is important. Know where your money's going though. Anyway, I would say this: make other people famous.
I like that.
Above all things, make others famous. Now, what does that entail? That 100% says you can't be the famous one, and you can't be the person who's just focused on what can I get for me from them.
Right.
I still think if I can make 3 or 4 people famous in my life, and you had Emily Hoisington on not too long ago. When I met her, I was like, I want to make her famous. Yeah. What can I do to make her famous? There was a heart in there. There was a passion there. That was like, I've got to promote, talk about. I want to see, there should be a handful of people in your life. You've said to yourself, I want to make them famous.
Yeah.
My wife's one of those people. I would love to make her famous. That's a goal as a husband for me.
It's great.
Do I want to communicate around the world? Do I want to have times where I'm doing all that? Sure I do. But I want to, more than anything, is to make her famous. I want to make others famous.
Right. It doesn't mean not having your own goals or your own dreams.
You can have your own dreams and goals. Sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Have them. And if you don't have them, you need to create them. But finding the people, because it will be at the end of your life, you won't be about what you've accomplished. It'll be about what you have spoken into that other people have accomplished because of something you've said to them, because of the advice that you gave, the props that you gave, the financial ability that you gave, whatever it is, that you have the ability to really say, wow, man, I had an impact on somebody else's life. There'll be no greater reward at the end of the day than that one fact, who you making famous. So I'd say, last challenge, pick one person in your life right now. I don't care if you're 12 years old or 15 years old. If you're in high school, you will blow your friends away if you said mentally in yourself and said to them, hey, I'm here to make you famous. What can I do? What can I do? Is it promote you? Is it to Instagram picture you? Is it to, you've got this cool thing you're doing, the band or the football or whatever? Hey, can I promote your number? Can I talk to people about you? Can I talk to a coach? Whatever it is, can I make you famous? It'll blow people away.
I love that.
So that'd be the last thing.
That is awesome. What if they had a reverse of followers on, like, maybe it's following, I don't know, but what if there was some other opposite?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like people that you've promoted.
Yeah.
Or whatever, instead of people that are following you.
That's cool. I like that idea.
Maybe someone on social media will hear this and then
build it.
And then do it.
Build it. They will come.
I love it. Well, cool, man. Well, that's about all the time we have as far as things you want to plug or things you want to promote or any social media feeds that you would like to be found on. What you got?
Current, the new ministry is Current YA, or at Current YA on Instagram. And you'll see all the events there, all the different stuff there. And then that's really about it. And plug this to your friends. Talk about Generation Giants to your buddies. Kyle, I am so proud of you for doing this. I remember many conversations about just like how exhausting this is and how hard this is. But
dude, you weren't supposed to share any of that right now.
Right.
What are you doing?
This is all part of it.
I'm not going to pay you as much as we had talked about.
No, you ain't paying me at all. But I'm so proud of you for doing this. And I absolutely believe it can reach thousands of people by you giving up your space and time to be able to pour into others. You've always done that. You've done this podcast in 100 other settings, just never recorded it and put it on video. You've done that with students. You've done that with adults. You're doing it with your small group on a weekly basis. So this is just another outlet. This is just, you don't just go, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. This should be easy. No, like you have to have a breath.
It's kind of something like that.
No, whatever.
I'm just kidding.
You have to have a breath of a depth and a breath of serving and loving people to be able to produce something like this. So really proud of you.
I appreciate that,
You do great.
Appreciate that.
Heck yeah, dude.
Well, cool, man. Well, Stephen Popadich, thank you so much for investing some of your time here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. You know, you brought out that surfer voice so much. I don't know if you're going to be able to go surfing later today or whatever or not. I think you're craving surfing, but I think this will be great. I think this will reach many people who need to hear some of your story, some of your wisdom, and hope it'll expand your influence as well. So
I appreciate it. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, brother.
We were meant to live for so much more. Have we lost ourselves?